I did not do local recordings though.
Local recordings.
Elsie's threatening to break up with me.
You
I'm
guys,
tattling on you
listen.
right now.
No, stop it.
I
They
just
don't have
tattled.
context.
It's done. The
They don't
tattling
have
is over.
context. They don't have context. They don't have context. Okay,
They
open
don't
up
need
your recording
context. The
thingy.
fact that you're not unconditionally committed to me in this relationship hurts, Elsie. It hurts.
I am
Deep.
unconditionally committed to how much I love you. And sometimes you got to do what's best for you.
I was literally just talking about a relationship earlier because I was reading about the end of the Opie and Anthony relationship. Their rate. Do you know about that?
Yeah, no, but really?
Do you know Opie and Anthony?
I don't know them personally. I
No,
know
but you
about
know who they
them.
are.
Yeah,
They've
I've
been
never
broken
listened to
up.
them.
They've been broken up and in mad hate for each other since like 2016 because Anthony. I mean, really, it's not a question, but this is why I was talking about it. It made me think of you and what could actually happen if like if we communicate very well, but like, well, first of all, we should just hit record and then I can finish this conversation. But like, because I don't want to go too long without saying record. Okay.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Press record.
Hello.
Hello.
All right.
So,
should we start the show or what should we do?
I don't know what you want to do. Why don't we start the show and then we can wrap this whole conversation into the mix. Okay, ready?
Yep. Okay. Hey everyone, welcome to She Podcast, episode 394. Yes, that's right. We are almost at 400 episodes. None of us can believe it, especially those of you who are talking to us. Those of us who are talking to you. We cannot believe it.
We are talking to each other. We cannot believe it.
You can watch us live 1 p.m. every Monday. So if you're watching live, and so far I don't see you, hi, nice to see you. If you're listening, all three of you, hi, nice to see you. Thank you for coming to the show today. I think I said this already, but I'm Jessica Kupferman. With me, as always, the very perky-haired Elsie Escobar.
I had to put my hair up.
She looks very cute today. I, on the other hand, must have skipped a step in the hair gel sequence. Because I look as if I've been electrocuted. This is a one-time only deal where you can come on live. Although now that if you're listening, it's over. Yes, I do. I fully look as if I stuck my hand in a light socket. It's fine.
Yeah, but she does not.
I love it.
I always love the way that she constantly says things like that. But again, it's not, this is a very personal thing. So it's like, if you think you've got something going on, you see it and you can't unsee it. Whereas when I look at Jess, I think she looks great. This is my thought. Look at how cute her sweater is. It matches the background. Her little hair is like, it looks like a little bit of a halo. Makeup is great. It matches as well. Like, I'm not going like whatever electrocution look like. I don't go like,
you love me. You're biased. You're biased. You love me.
Speaking of love,
yesterday, Isaac told me he thought he was too fat, and I was like, first of all, there's no such thing as too fat. You can do everything that skinny people can do. You can travel, you can get girlfriends, you can get married, you can do any of the things you want to do. And he was like, okay. And then I go, plus being ugly is way worse. And he was like, all right, I'll give you that. Hi, Rita. Nice to see you.
All right. So we started the show.
Here's what's the topic. Elsie has threatened to break up with me. And before I tell you why, here's the story that I want to relay to you because I was reading it just yesterday. And then in my head, I was trying to come up with ways Elsie and I would break up. But now I know because she's already threatened me. But here's number one. So Opie and Anthony, for those of you who don't know or have been living under a rock, Opie and Anthony were very, very famous shock jock, syndicated. And they had like a radio show with comedian Jim Norton, and they were best friends for 20 and maybe even 30 years. And then Anthony tweeted something. I think he had an altercation with an African-American woman and then tweeted about it, something racist. And then he got fired. SiriusXM fired him. And Opie and everyone, on staff did everything they could to get Anthony his job back. They would not budge. They would not hire him back. But, Opie did everything he could. Jim did everything he could. And then, a couple weeks later, Anthony was being interviewed and said something like, if it were me, I would have threatened to quit. But Opie didn't think to do that. And I was like, let me tell you something. First of all, if I ever tweeted anything racist, Elsie would just stop speaking to me, full stop. Like our relationship would be over.
Yeah. Yes.
First, she would find out if I had been hacked, okay, or lobotomized. Then she would never speak to me again, much less try and get my job back. That noise. No way. No way. I know for sure she'd be like, friendship over. We're done here. So I don't know why he thinks he should get his job back for doing something so incredibly stupid. But then he Anthony went to, like, I guess Opie's brother had a bar, has like a restaurant, and Anthony shows up at the bar like a month or so later, and he goes and he tweets, "I've been here 20 minutes already and there's no free drink in my hand," which was a joke that Opie did not find humorous because, he was like, no, we'll take, like, I'm sure that it made Anthony sound like a diva. It like put some kind of pressure on Opie to, like, VIP take care of him in some way. And, like, I don't know. He took it very, very personally. Anthony says it was a joke, but that was just the beginning of, like, the end of their relationship. Like, they didn't, I guess the problem is that Anthony didn't say he was upset about any, he never told Opie, like, you should have threatened your own job. He just dished about it on another show. They did not communicate. Like, every single little fight they had was because Anthony was not telling Opie, like, how he was feeling about something, which is the hardest thing to do in any relationship, right? Is tell someone how you're feeling. It is so much easier to fester and let it sit and let it rot in your soul and your mind. Like, it's so much I mean, it's not easier because your relationships get ruined, but, like, it made me very grateful that you and I talk to each other. Even if we're angry, we both go out of our way to be uncomfortable to solve whatever it is. I don't sit and fester about shit with you. Hopefully you don't sit and fester about shit with me. I know that there's some, like, because there's a business that, and I have, and we're just being honest because that's what we do on the show. Like, there's nothing festering, but there is an undercurrent of us trying to, like, the business part of this is still new, considering, like, it happened during a pandemic or right before. So, like, we have a staff now and Elsie has a full-time job, and, like, we're constantly trying to navigate not just, like, everyone's role and, like, what we can say and what we can't say, and it's tricky. It can be tricky. I mean, I don't think that we're at least I don't have any resentment towards her. Maybe she does towards me. I don't know. But, like, I there's nothing like that that's, like, making me so upset and festering. Like, even if I wish Elsie could do something else, like, I understand why she does what she does. And I'm sure vice versa. I'm sure Elsie wishes that I could go back to the way things were. And maybe I wish that, I could hire her full time, and, maybe we want different. I don't even know. Who knows? But, like, I'm not over here festering about it. That said, she's going to break up with me if I don't. I'm just kidding. So we have some news today about the podcasting industry that very much hits home. So I don't know if we should start with that, or if we should.
Why don't we do that? Let's do that.
I mean, we may as well, because it's a good segue. So this is what we were talking about. So, like, there's a, here we have a couple different articles. One is about NPR. Yeah. One is about Spotify. And, it's basically the podcast industry is, like, on a diet, a spending diet. The whole, they're doing massive layoffs. They are cutting their marketing budget. And as a result, it's harder for them to support everything, but specifically our event is getting difficult for people to support. And so right before we started recording, we started discussing what it is that we should do about it. And, like, even though there's lots of people that ask me if I'm doing another one, when's another one, like I have to make sure that this one does not bankrupt me, because if it does, I can't do another one. I just will not do another one if it's this risky every time. And last time it was risky because of COVID, and this time it's risky because, I don't know, recession, layoffs, a variety of things. But, like, it's just getting hairy. So, like, she's like, if you go through this again, I don't know, it's over between us. She said, I don't think I can do it again. She doesn't like watching me be in pain. And who would? When you love someone, you don't want them to be in pain, but you don't break up with them either, Elsie. That's all I'm saying.
Listen, that's not what I'm saying, dude. I'm saying, like, and you were like, if you don't love me. Well, listen, you got to make the right choices.
You still
to
have to
take
love him.
care of yourself, kind of a thing.
I
I'm not
agree.
saying I won't love you. Like, it has nothing to do with no love.
Listen,
I was just looking at, in terms of the news that are being put out,
yeah.
I think that part of what we've been seeing in terms of who's being laid off and what they're cutting, especially when they start to trim what they think needs to
Yeah,
be
it's always in
trimmed.
marketing, first of all.
It always ends up being, yes, there are marketing
Stupid.
budgets that are cut for sure. But
How
there's
are you gonna get
also,
sales with no marketing, dummies? First of all, don't cut
but,
your marketing.
but people don't understand that. It's like
Sheesh.
you have to constantly be figuring that out, first of all.
Cut the
But
800 tech guys sitting around with their fingers in their
then
noses.
you cannot do that either, though, Jess, because that's also a problem. And that actually is more meaningful, because it's like this. You can make a like, I'm thinking in terms of marketing, for like restaurants, right? Let's think about the restaurant ecosystem. I could see people starting to cut hostessing positions, and mind you, lots of people come in to look at the host, or to the hosts do so much for a restaurant, but you don't know what they do until they're not there.
No.
But you can
No.
cut
It's
them.
not like cutting the hostesses. It's like cutting the radio advertising. No one will come to the restaurant if they don't know that it's there. And this is basically whether you cut marketing and it's like no more newspaper ads, no more radio ads, no more business. Whereas like cutting hosting, cutting waitresses, that's like cutting people who are in like product development, for example. Maybe don't develop 3 products a year, and then you could market the ones you already have.
I don't think that that's the case. I think
it's a
that
product
no,
life
because
cycle.
what's happened was, what I'm telling you is that you can cut the hosts, and you can even cut the wait staff a little bit,
maybe.
not all the way. What you cannot cut are the cooks.
Is love. No, I'm kidding.
No, the cooks in the kitchen, because the
You
cooks
can
in the
cut cooks in
kitchens
the
are the
kitchen.
ones that are actually making the food. Now, here's the thing. The marketing is about more acquisition. What we're looking at right now is, let's just keep the regulars happy. The regulars are expecting to come in. They don't need the marketing, because they're already coming every week. We need to make sure they stay coming, because our food is on par. So you're not going to let go of the host and the wait staff if you're going to let go of the cooks. So that's what we're seeing now. We're seeing the fact that we're just trying to make this continue and keep going until we get to the point where we are going to be doing more acquisition.
Right. Yeah,
so
you're right.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
So
okay, I understand.
Okay. So then, like, even if you cut like the radio marketing, it doesn't matter, because the people are not listening. Like, your regulars are still going to be coming. The people who are still going to be there, they're still going to be there. They don't need the marketing for you.
Mhm.
And that's what they're trying to do. Just make sure the cooks keep cooking and they keep making the food in the same way that we're doing it before. Let's not create more than 1 or 2 new dishes. That's it. Let's keep that going. So, and so that's what I'm seeing. And unfortunately, in terms of like cutting the marketing, that's one layer. But the other layer is the fact that all of the diversity initiatives that a lot of folks started to put it in play in 2020, because that's when it was cool to do so, are first, the majority of them were not implemented to their full degree.
Okay.
2, they just didn't fulfill what they said they were going to do. So it's like you wrote a PR thing and said, we are going to commit X amount to be able to support this group of people. And everybody's like, yay. But none of that has happened. Or some of it has been. Like, maybe like 10 to 30% of such commitment of funds have happened, but not really. So, and that is what's really happening. Like, so we talked about the layoffs at NPR. The majority, I would say,
we didn't talk about the fact that they're killing Invisibilia, which is like one of the most famous podcasts ever.
Absolutely. And most of them,
crazy.
70% of what you see, or I think 80% possibly, is woman led. And I would say about 50% of their hosts are people of color. The ones that are being let go.
I didn't know that.
So then, like, louder than Riot is it's a black women man. I haven't listened to it, so
I
I'm
didn't know
sorry,
that.
folks. I
I'm
didn't
not
even
happy about
look
that.
at
That's
this.
not cool.
I think rough translation is a man. It looks like I'm looking at pictures, by the way. I don't know enough to even comment on this, guys. I'm doing the research on the fly. Because I was trying to look, yeah, he's a guy. So Gregory Warner, so there's a dude. But I believe that the rest of them are all women led or at least people of color led.
I didn't know
So
that. That
it's,
sucks.
and that's another thing where it's just like,
Such bullshit. God.
and so, but yeah, Emma Troy is the one. So there's, yeah, for sure.
God. I mean, I know this because um so we have a sponsorship set up with SiriusXM, and both of our contacts were let go. And both of them, I believe, are people of color.
Yeah.
It's
So
a
yeah, and
bitch.
it's crazy. So Invisibilia, it looks like 3 women. Louder Than Riot, woman, man, black, both. The one, everyone and their mom, Asian woman, and the only like white dude is the one for rough translation. So that's a pretty high percentage
Yeah, it's crazy.
of,
It is.
of who they let go. So anyway, but there's that aspect of it. But also Spotify. This was an article that was in Mashable and many other different places. This is the headline for that. Spotify hasn't spent much of its 100 million diversity fund. The streaming platform pledged to fund diversity initiatives following controversy around podcaster Joe Rogan. And so it seemed that they did that as a way to sort of counteract some of the stipulation. This was actually a report that came from Bloomberg. So the original reporting was from Bloomberg. And so they really brought out to say that, let me see, that over 10 million of the fund has been spent. However, they cited Glow, an initiative to support LGBTQ creators, and Nailing It, a podcast hosted by 3 Black women, as avenues where the money has been spent. Additionally, this week, Spotify announced a partnership with Spelman College, a historically Black women's college, which is true. I saw that. That's super thrilled, to provide scholarships for students interested in podcasting. I think that, to me, is that's amazing. But it looks like the money was supposed to be distributed over 3 years, and people familiar with the matter told Bloomberg, but due to a lack of structure and shifting priorities at the company, which is speak to let's not get rid of this money right now in this way, that plan has not materialized.
Oh, that's a shame.
So the fund was still determining its 2023 budget at the start of the year and hadn't yet determined priority projects, which is, this would be a good time to be like, you can fund us.
Yeah, don't worry.
Live.
I'm there. The problem is all the contacts I know, I believe they just got their budget for the year and it's March. Normally they get them in December. So they've been hemming and hawing about how much money to give each department like all year already. So I don't know that they're going to fulfill that $100 million thing. I mean, but now that we have a 501c3, it sounds like they're partnering with nonprofits, and now that we have established one that is separate from She Podcast, hopefully they can help us fund that, so then we can actually, not hurt from sponsors that pull out, and then also send people for free. What I'd really like to do is like send 100 people for free. I'd like someone to underwrite that. Like I can't just give them a free ticket because we are serving breakfast both days, and we have other obligations that we need to pay for. So I'd rather have a company that fund people that really, 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 really want to go. So
and then Rita saying an article I found said those shows unfortunately never really had true institutional support, and I think that's what we're seeing now.
That's what happened with Gimlet, right?
Well, actually, what's been happening, there's like all kinds of stuff like Crooked Media. There was another show that was canceled, and it seemed like what they had going on in there was a little interesting in the sense that once there is a network supporting you, you do have to abide by the power that whoever's in power. And They can take away things from you. Like, I'm being very vague about stuff just
Yeah.
because it's very hard to speak about things
Oh, shit.
sometimes. About stuff. Oh my God, are you becoming a mess? But
I know. I am. Sorry.
yeah, so it just looks like right now it is a very challenging landscape. I feel in totality out there because, like I mentioned at the beginning about making sure that the regulars continue to come to eat at the restaurant, it's not really being able to, in terms of podcasting, break the existing models that have already started to or have historically been uh, growing in this space to
Yeah.
plant new seeds and beautiful wildflowers and all kinds of diversity around. But we're going to try, or we, and I'm saying we because we're all part of the industry here, going to try to really just double down on the stuff that's working and not really think about anything that's going to be remotely problematic or problematic in the sense of growing it easily.
So, in other words, just stick your hand in the sand and pretend it's not happening.
Pretend.
Is that not what you said? It is.
No,
So,
no. I'm saying pretend that, like, it's hard to pretend that you care about diversity projects now. That's what I'm trying to say.
oh,
As in,
yeah,
like,
you can't. Yeah, I agree.
you can't, like, you're just going to be like, yeah, let's pull the funding from anything that is remotely general. Let's just continue to historically exclude the people that have been historically excluded. Let's just double down on that.
I know. It's so
That's
ridiculous.
all I'm saying.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Why do I keep losing the show notes? I've had it open 15 times and every time I somehow here it is. Okay. It keeps getting closed for no good reason. So yeah, so we talked about Invisibilia and Spotify. Okay, got it.
yeah.
Okay, so speaking of like not supporting the people that you've always not supported, let's talk about the article from the podcast host about how video increases the gender divide in podcasting, which I think is both fascinating and really hits home for me.
Yes. Okay. So before we talk about that, I'm going to shout out Lindsay Harris Friel because I got to say to you, well, this person is one of my most favorite writers in podcasting at the moment. She is, I don't think anybody's mentioning her at all. I told her specifically that I love her writing. Anything that, if you go over to the podcast host.com and you search for her name, and plus in the show notes, you will see this article there. So even if you click through in the show notes and you click through to Lindsay's byline and then see the articles that she's written, the quality of content she writes is astounding. This is amazing, amazing, amazing work.
It is. She's a really good writer.
She is phenomenal, and she does an insane amount of like research and anyway, whatever. I'm just saying, anything that Lindsay writes, everybody needs to read. But she wrote this specific article early in March, and I've had it in the back burner for a while, just because it really struck me, and anyway. So the title is "How Does the Video Increase the Gender Divide in Podcasting?" So can you give us some high level points, Jessica, of the things that really stood out to you?
First of all, the hurdles for women in video are not the same as the ones in podcasting, but apparently it's always been the case that seeing your own face on a screen for too long can distort your self-perception. I don't know how. It just seems like a big wake-up call to me every time. I don't know what's distorting about that, but apparently the rise of visual media has resulted in tyranny of the camera. People feel the need to make their faces in real life the way that they digitally appear on screen. So there's like a huge uptake in what's invasive cosmetic surgery procedures. The demand for them have grown. Body dysmorphia has been exacerbated by being isolated from the pandemic. And, women are going to be not totally more affected, but much more, 35% of Americans said that a woman's most valuable attribute is her attractiveness. So that's That's 1 in 3 people will value you simply based on whether or not you're good looking. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's probably very scary not to be the most good looking that you can possibly look. So,
Yeah. And there's like, even though, and mind you, there are links to all of these sentences. So it is backed up by by facts, if you will, or surveys. But there's one last sentence in a paragraph here that Jess was just reading off of, and it says, recently a member of our podcast community told us she'd lost her enthusiasm for podcasting because of the emphasis on video. And
well,
I
that's
really
just
think,
sad. You don't have to do
well,
everything
I
everyone else
know, Jess,
does.
but here you have to understand that, as you know, like one of the reasons I got into podcasting is because there wasn't video.
I
It
know.
was
I'm not
so
crazy about it
freeing
either, to be
because
honest with
about
you.
that. Mind you, I am in it and I'm doing it and I feel okay and comfortable. I mind you, there are other things in this
You've
article that really
adjusted, but I've
I,
never been crazy about it either.
right. And I think that part of it is also the level of prep time that I have to do so that I can get behind the camera is so annoying.
I
Because
know.
I can't do quick things. Like it's not like if somebody's like, "Hey, Elsie, can you please re-record this?" I'd be like, "Oh, sure. I can really quickly
No,
come here, turn the thing on and give you an amazing recording." But not if I
not if there's
just
video.
yeah, for sure. It's just so annoying.
I mean,
So annoying.
you don't have to put yourself on video. I personally hate it. I mean, there's a very, very good reason why I did not I started with a video podcast and I was so distracted by how I looked and the editing of it all that I quit. But my first 10 episodes of Lady Business Radio are audio extracted video shows, which were, half hour and edited to be hilarious, but it took me 4 hours per episode for a half hour show. It was fucking
Yeah.
crazy. So, I stopped doing that. Also, I was very distracted by my hair, which we've already established is distracting me also today. So yeah, it's not good for people necessarily, the video thing and the emphasis on video and constantly being on, I mean, I am suspicious actually that that's the whole reason why we started doing contouring and making our faces just with makeup look different
You
than
know,
they do.
there's also another level, and we've talked about a lot of these issues in my other show, the Fuzzy Logic podcast, because we do talk about some of the social, ethical, and law, legal issues around some of this stuff.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I've been really pondering about is the fact that, what does that socially or ethically do to us when what the images that we're seeing of ourselves, even in the cell phones, right? If you're doing selfies and things like that, those are computational renderings of your face.
Mhm.
So the iPhone and any of the other smartphones out there that have those killer cameras, that's computational. That has zero to do with the actual reality of what you look like. It's
I
the
don't know if I
way
should be horrified or grateful.
Yeah. And so that's what I'm saying. So part of it is you're not getting a reality of what you actually look like to a
Yeah.
human that's in front of you looking at you. Right. So you're like, oh my God, I got a really super cute selfie shot. Right. And you're like all in the lighting and all that stuff. That's computationally helping to make you look beautiful or whatever.
Of course.
But that's not like if somebody sees you in real life, you're not going to look like that. And
Yeah, but
I even
yeah.
venture to say, what is it that we look like? I don't even know, because now
Probably
every
we
time
all
we're
look
on
like
screen,
walking potatoes, if I had to guess. We're
so
like potatoes with a broom on the top, like a
but it's crazy. Okay, so we talked about the whole what an annoying thing it is, because I gotta say, it takes forever to put like makeup on, a little lips. Like I feel like I have to look nicer
just to do this.
Like
This isn't even all that
I
great.
have to say I didn't take I just like, but anyway.
Okay, but I had to add, I did my lashes this morning. Like I did other stuff.
Just because
that took a good 15
and
minutes.
so, okay, so let's talk through
what we do in the morning.
No.
Damn.
Why you did that. Like,
Okay.
why did you spend the time to make yourself pretty for the screen?
Oh, well, now that you put it like that, it's sad. But like I have been wearing fake lashes. I found a system that I really like, and I've been wearing fake lashes every day for the last 2 weeks, Monday through Friday, because it makes me feel prettier on camera. It makes me feel less self-conscious. It makes me feel like it pulls my eyes out, and then people stop looking at my double chin,
All right.
basically.
No, I mean, listen,
I mean, I
I
feel like it's yeah, like I'm completely self-conscious without them, and I feel like a troll. And that's the truth, actually. I mean, like that is I could not say it any better. I know I'm not a troll, but like because of the weight I've gained and because I'm older now, like I've never quite felt this way before, but in the lashes I feel, pretty and feminine and it feels different than without them. Without them I feel like I don't know, like I said, a potato with a broom on its head.
no, I mean, I think that
That's the
every
truth.
person that just heard you say that, I feel they absolutely relate to that. And
Yeah.
I have been blessed with genes that help me be more in alignment
Mhm.
with what our culture
All right.
deems as
Okay. Just say
beautiful.
you're pretty and shut
I'm
up.
just saying that. I'm
God.
just giving you, listen, I'm just saying that. Okay. But here's the thing,
Jeez.
even with doing that kind of stuff, I, there's also that layer of this is really pretty lighting and it makes the
Yeah.
camera
What
look nice. Like I look
even the
nice
LED
in this
lights are
camera.
fake.
It's
That's right.
really nice. And then there are times when I'm at the other computer, right? When I'm doing a lot of meetings and whatnot. And then I turn that camera on. I'm like, holy crap,
Yeah.
I'm old. And so now
Jesus.
I see how old my face looks. And again, listen, y'all, we're being real here. Please don't say, like, oh, but you're so pretty. Like, fuck that shit. I'm telling you that this is just like the way Jess said, it makes me feel pretty when my eyelashes. That is something that I don't care like
I
what
need
other
it.
people think. It's for me. Like when I turn the camera on and I'm like, fuck, I look so old. It's not that I'm against aging or anything like that. It's just that it's for my internal sense of self. Like I want to feel good. And so having a little blush here and there, making sure that the lighting is right, and all of that is, I think, defeating in so many different ways. And then when you think about the presence of video everywhere right now, and
And the
for us to,
pressure to look perfect or even
yes,
presentable or even
yes,
professional is
yes.
enormous.
It's enormous, absolutely. And it brings even more pressure to things. It also, I do feel that there is a actual like for especially for women, it is so
Men-
much more of a heavier burden.
Yeah.
It's so much heavier because a dude is going to get behind the camera and it doesn't matter what angle it's on. Like, I don't think I've ever looked at a picture of a guy and been like, he needs better lighting. Like, I literally have never done that. Like, I just
No,
don't
but
think of their faces, and I tend to just be in meetings and it's no big deal. But then I feel the pressure that I need to look good. I feel it. Like, nobody's told me that. Nobody has said
that's not
you
necessarily
need to
because of
look.
video. But yes, I mean that is but I think what the pressure does is like so for example, like you can look back. I've used to record this show during the pandemic and I mean I look like I've been dragged behind a truck on some of those like and it was fine with me. But
Mind you,
even
to
that was
add
3 years ago.
right,
3
but
years ago it wasn't as much. Go ahead.
yeah, no, I don't want to cut you off in that, but I just want to add to the fact that this show is the one that I don't care about in terms of my face. Like
Yeah.
today I did put my lipstick and my like blush and what kind of stuff. But this is the show that I usually am like, you know what? It's like a rebellious thing for me where I'm like, I don't have to put makeup on for this one. I don't have to brush my hair. And so I will, if you look back at us, a lot of our stuff, sometimes I wear zero makeup. I don't even brush my hair.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
But
you know,
that's not I mean, the pressure doesn't come from recording. It's actually like when I'm not on video, I I can't revert, like I now feel like I can't leave the house without looking a certain way. And also like with my husband, like I sort of feel like this is how I've looked every day for 3 weeks. So like on the weekends, I do feel kind of like a troll if I don't have the lashes on.
Mm.
I don't have my hair done. Like if my hair's in a bun, like I kind of feel like a troll. But the thing about getting ready and not getting ready, I'll just give you an example. Like I went to a girls' camp, a girls' summer camp. It had a brother camp. So I had cousins and friends that were at Camp Airy. I went to Camp Louise. It was all women. And I mean, there was absolutely no pressure to get dressed on a regular basis. It was like wake up, go to breakfast in your pajamas, throw your hair in a thing. I mean, we stunk. We were filthy, disheveled. And this is like, I mean, not, when I was 18, but like as a kid, it's like it doesn't occur to you. And then there would be the nights where we had a dance with the boys camp. And I mean, getting ready was like 3 hours long. Everyone, because it's 2 showers and 14 girls, and we have to borrow each other's clothes and do our hair and curl my hair and let me blow dry yours out. What lipstick is that? Does anyone have any eyeshadow? Like it was like a whole to do if we had one day. And then my friend Jennifer, many of you have met because she's my event planner. Jennifer and I would stand in a corner and be like, let's just go home and eat. This is not worth all the time that it's that we took to get ready. Like, it's so much better if we can just go home, sit in our underwear, play our stomachs like drums, and eat our snacks. Like all that work. For what? For
That's
what?
a lot
It's
of
just
work.
ridiculous. But we can't show up with our messy hair in a bun, having just, learned archery or right out of the pool. I'm very grateful that I never had to look a teenage boy in the face after getting out of a pool with a bathing cap on. No. But
Yeah.
so there's always been that pressure when there's co-edness to like dress for not just yourself and not just the men, but also the other women who are going to be there, and feel your best and look your best. But I do feel like video has put an additional well, first of all, it's put an additional pressure on me to do video, which I don't feel like doing. Like I said, I can be
It's a
really
lot.
self-conscious, and also most people really like video because like they think that public speaking or standing up in front of an audience is a fate worse than death. Well, let me tell you, if you're entertaining or funny and you do video and you don't get immediate response, it's like telling a joke into a tunnel.
Yeah, but
What am
you're
I supposed to
talking
do, laugh
live.
at
You're
my own
talking
damn
about
joke?
you're I mean,
I'm talking about video in general. Like I'm creative. I want to make TikToks. I want to do podcasts. I want to talk to the audience. I don't want to do it by myself. I don't want to feel like that I'm talking to nobody.
yeah, but
And
what's what
that's
I'm
why I don't
saying.
like it.
Yeah, but you just said that like you don't get direct response with doing video. It's the same thing with audio though. Like I mean, I guess you get response from me as in
But I don't
laughing.
have to stare at myself while I'm doing audio.
This is true.
I can stare out the
This is true.
window, think my thoughts, say what's from the heart, write things down, doodle. I mean, I used to do all kinds of shit when we were recording
Me
without
too.
doing
And
video.
so and I guess,
Not
that's the
anymore.
other thing.
Now I have to stare at the top of my computer and pray it looks like I'm looking at you, even though this is me looking at you.
Yeah,
This
this
is
is me looking like
pretending to look
I
at
do
you.
the same thing. I have to look over here, although this is me looking at you. This is me looking at you.
This is
Like
me looking at
this
you.
is me looking at the computer. So this is helpful sometimes too, because I
Really.
can actually look. It's easier for me to make eye contact with the camera sometimes because it's a softer thing. But here's the other thing that
I
happens
try to
with
put
me.
you right under it so that it does look like I'm looking at
I have one thing that I've noticed is that when I have to do a meeting where there's cameras and there's a screen,
you. Mhm.
I am twice as more tired after I come out because because the energy that it
Oh,
takes
yeah.
to be so like focused is so much. And then even if I'm not focused, like let's say this is again, that's the camera and I'm trying to look at you, right? But let's say I'm trying to look here and I'm not just looking at you, I'm actually looking at like 10 faces. Then I'm looking at everybody's faces and I can't focus and I'm like, what's happening here? And then what I used to do, and I'm starting to do that again, is I would just have all my pens. And so when everybody was talking, I was just doodling because it was
Yeah,
helping
it
me
helps you
let
listen.
go of the pressure of my brain, of my eyes, actually, because I'm like,
It helps me listen. And I often think while looking up. Like when I'm thinking, I
I
mostly
look
look
up
at this. Yeah. So
yes.
like, so I rarely look at the person I'm talking to when I'm thinking, which is also awkward. I don't know. I mean, I don't want to say that I hate video. I'm used to it probably by now, but it's certainly not my first choice. I definitely stare at myself way more than I do anything else, anyone else. And then that makes you want to change the things that you see, notice your flaws, ruminate over them, think about how to fix them. Like it creates, if you're like the last couple of weeks I've been on Zoom 5-6 hours a day, which means that's
It's
5 or 6 hours that I'm staring at my face and finding ways to change it.
yeah, it is.
That's not good. It's not good for me.
No, it's not good for you, but it's also not good for any like
I know.
imagine because in real like in a I guess I can't say normal because this could possibly be our new normal now. In the sense of like, I don't think I ever spent longer than maybe like if when I was growing up and even when I was in Hollywood, like even when I was like work and when everything had to do with the way that I looked,
Yeah.
I would get ready, obviously, before going to whatever event I was going to. I would, wake up in the morning and do that. And I would maybe look at myself in the mirror in total for the entire like day. If I was getting ready, maybe an hour and a half, the whole day,
Dude,
right?
that's
Because
a
I would
long
have to
time.
go, if you go to, that's what I'm saying, getting ready, looking at
Yeah.
yourself. You just said it took you an hour to get ready today.
That's
So,
today, not when I was 25. When I was
okay. So
25, I just left.
no, but I, putting the clothes on and do it like let's just say, and maybe the whole day, but I would go to work. I wasn't looking at myself there. I was looking at other people. I
Right.
was at a party. I wasn't looking at myself. I was looking at other people, except when I went to
Right.
the bathroom, right? Because there's a
Right.
mirror and you can
Right.
like, whatever.
Right.
But other than that, I wasn't doing that. Whereas now, every time if people turn cameras on, you're looking at yourself for
The whole time.
hours upon
The whole
hours a
time.
day.
The whole time. It
Who
sucks.
does that?
We do it now, but I mean,
Could you
yeah, it's
imagine
weird. It's
like
weird.
being in a city, like sitting in a restaurant with somebody and then having a picture, a mirror next to the person you're looking at and you're constantly looking at yourself? Like it's
N-
so
n-
weird.
Not to mention when you do make TikToks, you have to edit yourself. Like you're
Yes,
still
this
staring
is
at
true.
yourself
Yes,
when
you're
you're
still
not
staring at yourself when
recording
you're not.
because you have to scrub and like if you make a funny face or if you like, sometimes the thumbnails are you looking drunk and out of your mind like it's just annoying. But I mean, we've been bitching about video all this time. Like I just thought this article was so interesting that it's like, hey, you're I mean, the end of it basically says, should women make video podcasts? And the end of it is just, if you don't do the things that you want to do because bad people don't like it, you let them win. So do what you
Yep.
want. If you can only make, if you want to make video, do it. If you don't, then don't.
Yep.
Um,
Totally.
we do, but I don't I do like seeing you when I talk to you. So there's that. I know you
There's
don't like
that.
it as much. You like to be on the phone and yeah, I mean,
I like
I
to be
see that.
cooking and doing things. No, but I mean, I get it. And again, Lindsay does a fantastic job outlining all of this in this article. Like it's very
Yeah,
in depth. She
it
spent a
is. She's
lot
great.
of time putting this together. It is a long article. It is not something you can scroll through and look through. And almost every sentence is worth a show. Like everything that she puts in here. But just to even bring a little bit more awareness into the mix as well. Yes, we do get a lot of feedback, especially when it comes to women's voices. We've heard that on She Podcast all the time, where you
Yeah,
get people going like, why does her voice sound like this? And all of that kind of stuff. We do get a lot of that, but it's even worse on
yeah.
video. Right. And so
Yeah, do you remember when we were streaming it live on
yes.
video and someone called me like a porker or
It was
something?
something of not,
It
it
was
was something
so
like,
rude.
what is
I was
that?
like, no one's ever called me that before.
Oh my
I
gosh.
mean, I
Let's
don't
see.
even know if I internalized it or what, but like, okay.
It was
Some of
not
my
good.
Andrea says some of my high school students don't like live streaming, they have to see themselves, and I suggest turning their self view off, and they say that's worse. I mean,
That's, I mean, I don't know what that, but it's all I can say is it's super challenging because there's also the other aspect because if you don't monitor yourself, you might end up when doing something very weird on camera, which is another thing. So here's the other thing, because if you like
like
turn that
what?
off, like slumping or like, picking your nose and like, because you forget that the camera's there. And then it's just, Yeah, it's that anxiety, exactly what she said.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know what I look like, and then you don't know where that camera
Yeah.
is, and you just have to monitor. And when you see that there's a camera there, it's I know that we were just saying how annoying it is, but it is a constant reminder that there's something else there. And I know that there's been a couple of times when I'll come here and I'll be waiting for you and I'm doing something, and then I realize, oh shit, I've been on camera this whole time. Not that I'd be embarrassed, but the fact that, what if this was live? Like, people would see, like, there's something about not having people look at you and you don't know that they're looking at you. That's a weird thing.
See,
right?
if you were on TikTok, you would know that there are people live streaming on TikTok while they're sleeping, showering.
Well, of course, but that's
cooking.
like, that's
They're not saying anything. The
Right.
camera is just on, like at the Truman Show. It's
But
crazy.
it's the same. But this has been a thing forever, since prior to TikTok. But
Yeah, that's
the idea of not knowing that that camera is there is also kind of weird. And to add to the mix, what Lindsay was said in this article too that we haven't talked about is that about Pew Research. She put a Pew Research study about online harassment, and they found that women are 3 times as likely as men to face sexual harassment online. Sexual harassment of women has doubled in the previous 3 years. The rate of sexual harassment of men remained nearly the same. Oh, imagine that. Women targeted by online harassment reported it as more upsetting than their male counterparts reported it.
I mean, clearly
And-
it's
Yeah,
just
go ahead.
showing us that we need to start, we're way behind the 8 ball on sexually harassing men. We have to get started immediately. Like, we've got a lot of catching up to do. A
Is that
ton
what
of
that
catching
is?
up to do. Find whichever hot guy on the internet you're obsessed with, and just go and, I don't know, send him a pic, a pee pic.
So
I don't know.
Okay, so there's something that I've never said. I've never like spoken about this in the
Men do.
past,
I
but
can't
let
think of
me.
anything else men do to sexually harass women except dick pics. So I'm like trying to do the, do
Oh
the
my God.
equivalent of that maybe and see if they like it, or
I don't-
just
They don't
sorry.
even care. They would probably be.
I
But
just
anyway,
went off on a tangent. You're trying to say something important, and I'm like floating off into space. Go ahead.
okay. So I'm going to share here's another bit in there, and then I'm going to share my experience in terms of YouTube and as a creator, and we'll talk about it here in a moment.
All right,
So YouTube has proven a particularly dangerous space for women. Not only is it a hub for all kinds of information, but I'm assuming this is disinformation, but it's also a gateway for incel forums. Misogynist, anti-Semitic, and anti-LGBTQ plus groups use YouTube as bait to
Incel means involuntarily. Sorry.
To hook on happy young men, radicalize them, and incite them to commit violence. So anyway.
An incel is involuntarily celibate, meaning women will not have sex with them.
Yeah. Okay.
And now they're angry about it. That's an incel.
That's an incel. Okay. Now we know. Now, here's so I was, as anything else, a very, very early adopter of YouTube. Like, I started creating YouTube videos way before it was cool to do so. And I was using other YouTube, not YouTube type platforms. I was live streaming before it was very, very cool. I used to live stream in my apartment and do classes way back then using Ustream. I mean, and it was crazy how, anyway, so I started to create these videos on YouTube, and I still have my channel and so you'll have the receipts are there. But I stopped because of the comments, and I didn't have it in me to be okay with people nitpicking my face, because it literally was my face. There was like one person who was like, look at this girl. She's on there and look at how dry her lips are. And I was like,
what the hell?
What the hell? I know. And then I was like, what do you mean dry? And they would go into it like, look at how dry her lips are. They are caking up. How does she stay on? And I was like, these are so horrible. Like, they were really like in there to like any little, and mind you, my lips did not look dry. Like, it was one of those weird things where you're just like,
the point though.
Not the point. And so I started to feel incredibly awkward and like afraid. And so I stopped putting videos up way back then because I didn't like it. And then I didn't go into YouTube after that. I didn't want to. I was afraid of YouTube comments. I didn't want to deal with YouTube. I couldn't handle YouTube comments. And I never created any YouTube videos for years, like almost 10 years, because
Yeah.
of my initial experience being in that platform. And I think back and I go, wow, I literally could have done so much on YouTube. I already, like, I had 1,000 people subscribe to my YouTube channel, Jess, in like 2006.
1,000.
1,000 in 2006.
All that fame gone to waste.
All that.
Sad.
But I stopped. I could have, like, you thinking back, I'm like, I could have done so much in YouTube in terms of like, because I was really into it. I was like creating content. I was doing the thing. I was putting the stuff out. I had all these videos that I was doing. And I just stopped doing anything on YouTube because I was afraid. I didn't want to get that feedback. I didn't want to deal with those ugly comments. And there were trolls in there I didn't want to deal with. And it was all because people were commenting on my appearance, and that's like one of those key places where I think as women, we are extra sensitive about that. And even if anybody else can tell you, oh, don't worry about it. Oh, you're fine. Or you're beautiful. You're great. And maybe, whatever. But if somebody's like, oh, your lips are dry, you're going to be like,
what are you supposed to do about that?
What I'm saying. And so
whatever.
So the anxiety that I felt around that, like, I was just thinking like, wow, I made like a decades long choice essentially in terms of content creation because somebody commented on what I look like. And so that tells you the power of what that does. And I'm sure there's a lot of younger people who are going through that, older people, whatever, any age. It's a lot. It's a lot to think about.
It is.
Yeah. Anyway.
Like we could go on all day. In fact, we have, I think.
In fact, we have. And I think that we're getting ready to wrap it up here, y'all. But do please shout out Lindsay. Tell her what a wonderful work she's doing over at the Podcast Host. And please read that entire article and share it because we need to get more visibility for folks who are doing really wonderful work, especially like Lindsay, writing and podcasting that often, again, don't get really picked up very much, and their work is really overlooked in a lot of different ways. Yeah. There's very few people who get coverage for their really wonderful work in terms of writing. So thanks, Lindsay, for all your stuff. It
started pouring here. All my light went away except for my ring light.
You look very cute still, though. I mean, that's nice.
Thank you. See, you do love me. Don't break up with me, Elsie. We're married.
Oh my God.
You married me.
We're married.
We're bestie married. We're not romantically married.
Oh my God.
We're married. You married me. You said forever, and I heard you say I do.
Oh my God.
Who else is your wife if not me?
Who else is your wife is not? I know, right? I mean, seriously.
It's me. All right. Anyway. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching us live. If you were watching us live, if you want to catch us on the socials, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, TikTok. I think that's it. Go to @ShePodcasts. We are also at shepodcast.com for all the links from everything that you heard today, the articles, etc. Do not forget to buy a ticket to She Podcast Live. You could be our only hope at this point.
You could be our only hope. Y'all need to buy a ticket and buy another one.
If our sponsors go the way that they've been going, you're all I've got, y'all. Just buy your tickets because there's layoffs, there's budget crunches, and that doesn't leave me in a very good position. But I'll be okay as long as you buy a ticket.
Exactly.
ShePodcastLive.com. And don't forget to nominate someone for the awards. March 31st is the last day. So please do it. Go to sonicbloomawards.com, nominate your favorite independent podcaster. Thank you so much again for being here. We love you.
Meenad.
Bye. All right. Let me hit stop. Poosh. Let me hit save.
All right. Let's go ahead and
kaboom. 394. Cannot. What are we gonna? We're not doing anything for our 400s, are we?
Dude, I don't even know if we have.
Never
We
do
don't have it
anything
in
for
us
our-
to celebrate.
What?
I don't have it in me.
I mean, that's true, but
94.
also we never ever celebrate our milestones like with any kind of big.
We don't. You are
ever.
correct. We never have, except for I think episode 100 is when we had
That's when we had Dan
Dave
and
and John.
Yeah, Dave.
and
Sorry,
him and take over. What did you say?
I said Dan, Dave, and John.
Dan. Who's Dan?
I don't know.
Oh,
I don't
Dan.
know. I don't know, Dan. I don't know why I said that. I don't know.
Dave and John.
Oh my god! What
All
are
right,
we gonna
folks.
do, Elsie? Oh my
We have to, like,
god!
Stop streaming is what we're gonna do right now, so that we can move forward. Okay, everybody.
All right, bye. Love
See you
you,
later.
bye.
See you later, guys.